Hey everyone, how's it spinning? This is SonicFan0001 here, and welcome to a little, I guess, theory speculation video for Sister Location. Now, these are just my thoughts after watching the trailer, which of course you all have seen my reaction, and this is kind of my ideas about the storyline of the actual Sister Location. I'll put in a few ideas about what I think's going on in the game too, but I'll hold off on that until later. So, one thing that, of course, is very obvious about this new trailer is, even though it's called Sister Location, it's probably all about Sister Location. The game itself does not take place there, at least, well, for the most part, it doesn't look like it does. This does not look like some old place. This place looks like it takes place in the future, probably around the same time as FNAF 3. It looks like some sort of storage facility. However, there are a few parts that I thought looked a little bit suspicious, which I'll get to. Let's start off with what I think happened with this whole Sister Location mess. So, of course, as many of you know, at the end of FNAF 4, you learned that the main character was having a birthday party, and he was forced to go to Fredbear's family diner, and his brother and some little assholes he's friends with decided they would pick him up and stick him into Fredbear's jaw, which ended up killing the kid, causing him to go brain dead, whatever. And so basically what this does is, this looked really, really bad for the business at this point. I mean, a kid has pretty much died. Even if he is brain dead, he's technically dead. And, there's these 4 kids, and, they can't really be tried that much for it, probably because of their age. Now, I know that the book wasn't entirely canon that got released last year, but I did read the book around the time that it came out, and spoiler alert, if you haven't read the book yet, you may want to go ahead and skip forward in the video if you haven't read the book yet. I'll give a little time to when I get to past the spoiler bit, but the purple guy is revealed to be, right in the book, the co-owner of the restaurants. And he was also the business manager. Now it starts talking about how in the book he started going kind of crazy, getting kind of jealous of the primary owner of the place. And I think they were talking about he burned things, and he would stay up late, like mumbling, and he would seem either really fine, or he would just go completely insane. And this was interesting to me because I think, even though the book wasn't entirely canon, I think the characters, for the most part, are still exactly the same. I think that the purple guy was still the co-owner of this business. I think what happens is, after this thing happens, he starts getting super stressed out, alright? He's freaking out. He's like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And they get into this sort of dispute, the 2 owners. And they like split off or something, and I think that kind of makes a sister location, and what that ended up being this, and I think that also maybe makes the FNAF 2, or maybe they go in the opposite direction. Maybe in FNAF 2 it's owned by Purple Guy, and then the sister location was owned by the other guy. Now, the primary owner was the guy who made the animatronics, so that could also mean that if Sister Location, and I'll explain why in just a second. I think the purple guy's motives have been explained already. I don't think we need to know. Yes, we know he's insane, but of course that one question everyone's been asking is why? Why did he kill these people? Why did he kill these people in particular? And I think we have the answer to that question, and I think we have for a long time now, and we just haven't seen it. Because I don't think anyone has taken this sort of stance on the story. But we have learned that Scott was willing to go that far, because in the book, the primary owner, the guy who made the animatronics and stuff, he commits suicide. Okay, this is a dark take on the series that, sure, I mean, we're used to seeing insane guys get murdered, killing other people and stuff, but we haven't gotten into, like, a morally ethical thing about, like, what is this doing to people physically and mentally? What is happening to the people behind this stuff? And is Purple Guy really the only one? Is he really the, like, as antagonized as he's made out to be, or is he in a way a victim as well? I think what's happening here is that he is getting so just crippled by like debts and legal action, all this different stuff coming around the chain. He's stressed out, he's jealous of the other guy because everyone likes him better and he does all this hard work and he doesn't think he's respected. He goes into depression, and I almost think his character's bipolar because of the way they describe him in the book, how he would just change suddenly. He seems like he's bipolar, and it seems like he has some form of depression. I'm pretty sure this is what motivates him to kill people, and I think what this is especially kids, because in the book he says, this is the kid's happiest day, like whenever he was talking about murdering people. Happiest day. And in the book, when at one point he puts one of the main characters inside one of the suits and he's planning to do something, he is extremely adamant about this kid not leaving the suit, alright? And while he is sort of sinister in the book, he almost sounds genuine at the same time. I think what he thinks the kid's happiest day is freeing kids from this life. He has this weird existential view on everything, that I don't want these kids to have to grow up and go through the same shit I went through. I think that's his point of view on life, to be honest. And when it finally comes down to FNAF 3, when you're in the mini games, and this supports my bipolar thing earlier, he all of a sudden he's gone back and forth in his mind, more and more insane. He's killed more and more people because of this stuff, but he's not sure if it's right or not. And he still hangs around the place. He still hangs around them, and he doesn't know why. And finally, he realizes, oh my god, I murdered these people. I can't deal with this. So he drives back to the original place, finds the suits that are still just rotting in there, and he takes them apart because he's like, okay, I can't let these kids be in here anymore. This is too crazy. But then, in his own desperation at the end, when they all come after him, he's like, oh, he's suddenly gone back. I can free myself if I hide in this thing. And in a way, that's why he's laughing. He's like, I've outsmarted them. I've outsmarted everyone. I'm going to get out of this. And then he becomes Springtrap, and it's not what he wanted at all. I think that's kind of just the background of Sister Location, and I think that's a good thing that explains Purple Guy's character. I could be totally wrong, but that's just a theory I like to go by, because I think it's a really interesting take on the series that we haven't seen very much of. Now, let's get down to what's going on in the trailer. I'm not going to replay the trailer right now just because, well, I'm sure everyone's seen it multiple times at this point if you're still watching videos like this, because kind of late to make a theory/analysis video for this game for today, but yeah, right, okay, so you can hear her in the video, you can hear Baby saying two different things. You can hear her saying, don't hold it against us, and then at the end, you don't know what we've been through. I have to wonder if the Sister Location kids aren't, because a lot of people theorize that maybe Purple Guy murdered the kids who basically like fed the little boy to Fredbear in FNAF 4. And of course the reason he probably would have killed them is because he started the whole downfall of the business. Like, how could you do this? I'm really mad. And that's kind of what started his whole thing about realizing that. And I don't know. I feel like maybe these kids could be the ones inside the Sister Location animatronics. Don't hold it against us. That just sounds like something that someone filled with guilt would say, especially because it's almost heartbreaking in a way, because you listen, the more she says it, it sounds like she starts crying. It sounds like her voice breaks in the last one. This is just really interesting to me, because it's like you're actually hearing a person speak. You're not hearing this robot speak. You're hearing a person speak. You're hearing them whisper. You're hearing them, they're out of breath. They can't speak. They're too upset by this. And I think in a way, Purple Guy did kill more people. However, I think the original kids, I think they moved around. I'm not sure that they stayed in the one suit, if indeed that they somehow possessed the animatronics and there were spirits and they were malfunctioning or whatever. I have to wonder if they weren't like somehow physically attached to these things. Like it was some sort of energy imprint so strong from such a traumatic event that, you know, some people have had reports of like, oh, I don't remember, it's a place in the United States, it's some bridge, and there was it's really amazing, it's really phenomenal. This is actually a real thing where like if something really traumatic happens, for some reason it will like actually reenact itself like the same time every year. And there's some road in the U.S. that used to be a train track, and there was this train crash, and I believe it killed everyone or almost everyone on board. And people will drive the road, and occasionally they'll just see a train coming towards them on the road, and they can just drive right through the train, or the train will go off before it's able to hit them, and it always does the exact same thing. I have to wonder if that's not kind of what's going on here, because I think what Purple Guy, his idea is he's like, I'm going to put you inside these suits. I'm going to put your bodies inside these original suits, because you ruined this business by doing this. You ruined this business by killing this kid. Now, I'm going to make you see what happens. Like, he's like, I'm gonna make you stick with it. I'm gonna make you watch what happens. This is your fault. I think that was his thought process, and I think that's why they're stuck. You don't know what we've been through. These kids want out. And something that's also kind of interesting to me is that in FNAF 3, it seems like you kind of free their spirits, right? Which would make you think that this came place before FNAF 3, except the weird mini-games in FNAF 3, I'm not sure that's part of the game. I think that's just an actual story happening, and it's being told very abstractly. I don't know when that happens, but I have a reason to believe that this game happens pretty much around the same time as FNAF 3, which, my god, this video is going to be long, but I'll get to that in a second too, and kind of what my ideas for the gameplay mechanics are. Yeah, I guess that's my 2 cents on that. Okay, let's talk about what animatronics we're seeing in this. Of course, we got Baby right here. Yep. We saw Funtime Freddy, which he had a little like Bonnie hand puppet, which I did notice that, or he or she, I don't know what gender it's supposed to be. I mean, I know it's pink, but I don't know if it's still male or they're all 4 of them are female. I did notice this when I first watched the trailer, but I forgot to comment about it, and was the little Bonnie hand puppet, which is interesting to me because it looks exactly the same as the normal Bonnie. It doesn't look like it's redesigned or anything. And then we can see Baby in the front, of course, and then the ballerina animatronic. Okay, I know I kept calling her Mini Rena in the thing, and I still kind of think that's what she's called, but some people brought forth the idea that maybe that's Ballora, which I could see that, because Mini Rena sounds like ballerina, but Ballora also kind of does. You think of ballerina. So, really it could be either. I'm assuming it's Ballora, because Mini Rena I think is going to be something much smaller. So I'm pretty sure in this trailer we saw the Funtime animatronics, Baby, Ballora, and a 5th animatronic. Now there's one shot where it says an anger is restless, and they show this animatronic, and it kind of clutches its fingers over the microphone. Everyone's like, oh, that's Baby, because it had the shoulder pads on the microphone, but I looked more closely and it's not. Whatever this thing is, he does not want us to see it yet. This thing is golden looking, its microphone is different, it has a weird fan in its chest, it just overall looks bigger, although it looks like it has the same design, because yes, it does have the little skirt looking shoulder pads, but they look different. They're a different color, they're shaped a little bit different. They almost look more crude, more cut off, and you can kind of see the reflection of the head in the microphone, and it kind of looks like Baby's head, but I'm not seeing the hair in the reflection, so I think maybe this is another main animatronic in this game, but it's such a big part of it that he doesn't want to reveal it just yet. He just wanted to get out of the way like the mainstream animatronics of this game. And I think he's still hiding things like Mini Rena and Ennard and Biddy Bab, although Biddy Bab could end up being, I could see it being the little Bonnie hand puppet, or possibly the puppets, right? There were those 2 puppets you see sitting in that little room. There was the balloon boy looking one, and there was the man with the top hat on top of the panel, which I'll get to those in a second too, and my gameplay mechanic ideas. So, yeah, so we still got a few we haven't seen yet, and yeah, I don't know. I'm a little worried about some of them. I could also see Biddy Bab maybe being what JJ actually is, considering the fact that it looks like she came from the sister location and was related to Mangle and all this different stuff. But think about it, because they, even though it's called JJ, that was just a name the community gave her. You never actually knew what her name was. I mean, actually, I think it was called like JJ or something in the game, but really that was just kind of like a filler name. I'm not even sure if he knew what her part in the storyline was at that point. Because while I will give him something in that, he does definitely have this planned out, I do think he changes some things, adds some things in, because it's kind of impossible to know exactly where you want to go with the series right off the bat. I can tell you that from experience. And Biddy Bab, I think, I just picture it being really small. So I picture it either being what JJ actually is, or I picture it being, possibly the little Bonnie plush, because that that reminds me a lot of the what Plush Trap actually was. I have to wonder if that's like a later version of the little Plush Trap hand puppet, because right, they were talking about it in the mini game in the fourth game. And yeah, so one last little bit of storyline thing before I go into gameplay mechanics. I wanted to touch on the fact that the animatronics in this game, I'm sure you all noticed, I don't know how anyone would have missed this, their faces move. Alright, they open up. I knew they were going to open up, but I didn't know you were actually going to see their faces shift. And to me, it's not really that scary watching them shift when they just show their faces. To me, it's horrifying watching them perform on stage and just watching their faces like come apart and come back together. Especially that one shot of Funtime Foxy like moving her head to the side and part of her face like kind of detaching and coming back on. I don't know. That's just, usually it looks kind of cool, but that shot in particular freaked me out. The FNAF 4 trailer Foxy was the thing that scared me in that too. When he was peeking out of the closet and that. Anyway, but I think, because this looks very futuristic, they look super new, right? I think this is some sort of futuristic repair to them, but I'm not sure why. I don't know. I'm assuming what this is because these were kind of like spring suits or something, and they were supposed to like open up so people could go into them, kind of like the original Springtrap or Spring Bonnie and Fredbear. And this is why I'm not sure which owner ended up owning FNAF 2's location and which one ended up owning the sister location. Because in the FNAF 2 game, there's a lot of, even though, like Scott Kaufman said, like MatPat nailed almost everything in that theory video he uploaded, but there's a few things that haven't been explained yet. Like, what exactly happened? Yeah, someone used the suit, like, yeah, you assume that's Purple Guy, but, I mean, I know they said maybe there was like a hidden room in different locations, like a safe room in all of them, but I mean, Did you see anywhere on the map where it looked like that could have come from? I have to wonder if that didn't happen at the sister location, and whatever happened there ended up shutting down this other one. Now, see, that could go either way. I could see Purple Guy, who was super obsessed with hiding inside the suits, ended up wanting to own one that was mostly based off of spring-based suits. But at the same time, you see him all over the place in the second game. Here's an idea. This is a really messed up idea. Maybe the Purple Guy's trying to just, because they've kind of split off, maybe he's just trying to sabotage the other guy's business. And that's what causes him to kill himself. This guy, like, both of these guys have, like, really high tension at this point, and he just keeps killing kids because he's like, not only am I freeing them, but I'm, like, getting revenge on this man. And, like, he has all these thoughts in his head, and he can't keep up with them, and I don't know. While I'm intrigued by his character, I hated his character at the same time, because he just seems like such a messed up guy, and I feel bad for him. I feel like all three of them at the same time. And, yeah, I just have to wonder if that's not some sort of, like, business debt, corporation, little debacle going on between them there. But I want to, one thing that I cannot really say anything about is I'm pretty sure these animatronics are being repurposed, right, to have their faces move and open up. But here's the question, why? If these things are being kept in a storage facility, why in the hell are they still open? Why do you see them moving around looking all shiny and stuff? I mean, they didn't have that tech back in the 80s. So you know this has to be modern. Here's what I think. if you look at the first room they show in the trailer, it has a fan, right? It almost looks like an elevator, or at least some sort of like ventilation room. And right, you can see the poster moving. There's a door with a keypad and stuff. Either way, it looks like a very futuristic building. However, the next building does not look very futuristic. It looks like an old building with new tech in it. There's like gas cans, there's wires everywhere, but there's this really high-tech panel in front of you. And there's these two puppets. Why would they have these puppets laying around? And more importantly, why would they have posters of different, like, why would they have decorative posters from the restaurant in a storage facility? And that's why I think that perhaps you are going to see the sister location in this. Somehow, maybe they're being stored, like, in some underground thing. I don't know. I just feel like you're going to see the sister location. There's something going on there, because I don't know why they would have up decorations from the old place. Like, a storage facility doesn't just throw things around like, oh, we're just going to put this doll we're just going to put these two dolls next to this control panel, which I'm also going to talk about what I think that room is in a second. But I don't know. There's something weird there, and I think maybe we'll learn more about this stuff in probably the second trailer, because I'm assuming that one's going to be like the gameplay trailer, because this one felt very much like a teaser trailer. Reminded me a lot of the first half of FNAF 2, where they showed all the withered animatronics sitting there. Except the polar opposite, because they were all new and fancy looking. Okay, so gameplay mechanics. This is already like 21 minutes long. I'll have to make sure I put in the description you should watch the whole thing, because hopefully I brought up some good points. I don't know. I doubt Scott Cawthon's going to watch this and tell me whether or not I'm right. Yeah, okay, I think the room with the control panel in it. I think, if you also remember from the book, they talk about going back to the location, and they talk about messing around in these little control rooms that they have set up everywhere. They control the animatronics, like what they sing. They control the background music. They control the lights. That thing you're looking at right there is a stage control thing. And you may notice that there's a bunch of little red dots. It starts glitching out at the end, right? There starts being a lot of them, but I noticed at first there's a dot for, out of the 4 mainstream animatronics that we saw, there was one for each of them. I'm pretty sure what that is instead of cameras, you have a tracking device for that specific area. And I think there's going to be different things there for you to mess with, like lights and stuff to distract them. The other thing that makes me think this is there's like these really weird, like colored spotlight looking things over the panel, if you notice, and they remind me so much of like a stage control panel. That just reminds me so much of it. And it would make sense because they made it sound like they tracked the animatronics when they moved around, so that's probably what that's for. And I also noticed, yeah, that room also has a button and a number pad, so it's probably another form of doors. Crawling through the vents, all I really think that is I really think you might be able to actually move around the place, and the vents are like connecting them, so like if there's an animatronic nearby, you can like go through the vents. And I also think that maybe one of the animatronics is going to try to shut off everything. Because you may notice, like I said, there's a number pad next to all the different doors. I'm not a big fan of that. I think there's going to be something like, you notice, like I said, with that control panel, it starts out looking normal, and it starts going insane. All the dots start flashing everywhere. Everything's flashing, and the little things in the bottom start going up and down. I think something is like hacking into it. I think one of these, it may even be Baby. I could see it being Baby, because he was talking about she's scary. He was talking about like she was a horrible creation he had made in the FNAF world. I wonder if Baby is the one who's going to be going around and is going to be doing all these things, or if it's that other animatronic that he didn't want us to see. I think one of them is going to play a very important role. I could also see it being something very small, like the Bonnie hand puppet, or maybe even one of those two dolls that was in the control panel room, which would explain why they were in there. That's going to like kind of go around and mess things up, and I think you're going to have to leave rooms when things walk into them and crawl through the vents, and they can probably enter them too, and you can run into them, stuff like that. And one of my last observations is that every room has a speaker in it, and you may notice that Funtime Freddy, Funtime Foxy both have speakers on them. I think they're going to play a role in that. I didn't see one on the Ballerina, Ballora, Mini-Rena, whatever her name actually is, and I didn't see one on Baby either, although I'm assuming her microphone works as a speaker. So that's probably going to be important. You could probably hear them talking, and maybe they say something based on what part of the facility they're in. I don't know. Those are just some ideas. Brought up a few different storyline ideas that I had. I do think maybe Springtrap's going to be in this game, because it did look like you could see Springtrap in her nose in the picture, which I know like everyone has pointed this out. Like right there, you can kind of see like his head and his ears. So I think it takes place around the same time, and it would make sense if it took place like after FNAF 3, because Springtrap would probably also be being stored here. Or maybe this really is like a storage facility they built at the sister location, and this is where they got all these things. Like a bunch of people went in there, and some other group found these people. And something else I thought I'd point out is this little yellow thing that I saw in her hair. Like, yeah, I saw that the first time, and I pointed that out, but I don't think we saw that character in the trailer, so that's something new. That's something we haven't seen yet. Anyway, I'm going to cut this off. This is going on way too long. It's almost half an hour. But thank you all so much for watching. Remember, if you like this video, leave a like, comment, possibly subscribe. This video is going to take probably a ton of time to upload, and it's going to take a ton of time to watch, but hopefully it was worth your time. Hopefully I kept you interested. I'm really tired, so I may have just droned on. You can skip around the video. You have my permission. I don't mind, trust me. I don't have my videos monetized, so I don't really mind how long you watch my videos for. That's a you thing. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I guess I'll see you all next time. Bye.